Hello everyone, my name is Harold Campos and welcome to the channel. Today I will be speaking about the Azure Logic Apps rules engine, currently in public preview. Why a rules engine in Azure Logic Apps? Business rules engines offer a low-code environment for building applications faster and easier. No need to write code or start applications to use them. In a world of microservices that promotes decoupling, rules engines provide consistency, clarity, and compliance across different services and domains. And last but not least, customers migrating from BizTalk server can leverage their existing BRE implementations in Logic Apps. If we drill down a little bit further on what the rules engine is, first of all, the core elements of the rules engine are part of the Logic Apps engine. And when we speak about a rules engine, we start with the composer, and then we go through the rule sets, and then with the rules, and then the facts, and then the conditions, the actions, and the prioritization. But we'll talk more about that over the next few minutes. Let's see what's the relationship between rules engine and the Logic Apps, or what's the thought process about creating rules in Logic Apps. First of all, it all starts with a composer, or a BizTalk implementation of the business rules engine. But we'll talk more about that in the next few minutes. If we have a composer, then the composer is used here to create the rules and rule sets that will be leveraged by the Logic Apps. So then the outcome of a rules composer is a rule set, which is a set of rules. We can create multiple rule sets and we can upload them into the Logic app that will host a number of workflows. Additional to the rule sets, we can also store vocabularies. We'll talk more about that over the next few minutes. But basically, what I wanted to show you first is this part. You craft the rules with the rules composer, you generate rule sets and rule set files, and these files will be uploaded into the Logic Apps. And then once they are uploaded, they are ready to use by the engine, by the rules engine, which will be able to integrate with all of the different connectors that we have available in the Logic Apps workflow. Now, creating rules with the Microsoft Rules Composer, it's something that starts with defining the rule. Let's say that we have this rule. If the purchase amount is larger than $1,000, then give the customer a 10% discount. So in that particular case, let's think about a rule. A rule has three core elements in a rules engine. In a rules engine, it has facts, it has conditions, and it has actions. It has data, conditions, and actions. What is a fact? It's the data upon which rules operate. Technically speaking, we have two types of facts in the rules engine. We have .NET assemblies or .NET classes, and we have XML schemas, right? And then on top of that, we have conditions. Conditions are true or false expressions with predicates. These conditions, they will leverage specific facts. If you see this condition here, this if condition, the purchase amount is greater than $1,000, it's calling this current purchase class that is here in this part here, where you will see that we are using this fact to do the comparison to see if it's greater than 1,000, right? Now, actions are initiated when the rules conditions are met. In this particular case, I have a discount fact that gets augmented in 10 upon the execution of upon the confirmation that the condition is met, right? So then you see that this discount is coming from the status fact in this XML, XSD schema. Now, if we have more than one rule, you have a rule set, and these rule sets, they contain a logical grouping of rules. So then, just to summarize, a rule has facts, conditions, and actions, and a rule set is a set of a multiple number of rules. Now, what are vocabularies? So what if you wanted to use friendly names to the combination of facts and conditions? So then in that case, you create a collection of definitions that consist of friendly names for the facts using the rules, conditions, and actions. So make the rules easier to read, understand, and share by people in a particular business domain. For instance, status, or top value, or top range. They can be of the following types: constant value, range of values, and set of values. All of these different types, they are available for you in the Microsoft Rule Composer. So then we're going to take a look during the demo briefly about the types and how is it that we manage them. Now we get into a more advanced scenario, right? So we have spoken about the rules engine, how it fits in Logic Apps, what is a rule that has facts, conditions, and actions, what is a vocabulary. So then we are at a point where, okay, so let's talk about what else is possible to do with the rules engine. With the rules engine, you are able to help applications controlling the facts in the engine's behavior by using the control functions. Facts in working memory drive the conditions that the engine evaluates and the actions that it executes. Let's take the example of the forward chaining inference, where it finds all the true statements given the knowledge base and a new set of facts. So let's say that you have applied a rule. Once this rule has been applied upon a specific fact, then there is another rule that acts upon the result of the previous rule. So then what it's going to do, it's going to assess the given knowledge base and the new set of facts upon the execution of this rule to get you this rule executed again. So in other words, what is happening here is that it's updating, it's refreshing the execution of the rules, and we do that with the control function called update. The other functions as well, they are available for you to do to fulfill more complex scenarios with the rules engine. Now, let's say that you want to test your rule. If you want to test your rule, you use the Microsoft Rules Composer. This follows a shift-left approach because as you build your rule set so that you can integrate your business logic with your standard workflows, you can test your rule set incrementally. We recommend this for long and complex rules. I mean, the previous rule, you can use it with the previous rule that I just shown you, right? But there are really complex rules that use complex predicates and that use complex facts as well. So then, if you want to avoid lengthy troubleshooting, that's where you shift left, right? You bring everything, closer to the design time. Now, to test rules, you use the composer as stated, and to test .NET facts, you should build a fact creator. So let's talk a little bit more about this. So we said that we have two types of facts, the XML facts and the .NET facts. For the XML facts, we just need an instance. So we add in the test rule set option, we add an instance of the XML fact. But then if you want to test a class, then we need a class generator. And the rules engine provides an SDK that allows you to create, or APIs that allows you to create these facts creator to generate multiple objects when you are testing your applications. What it's going to do is going to call this object the test rule feature. The test rule set feature will allow you to invoke this object a number of times, so then you will be able to test your XML and also your second XML facts based rules and also the .NET facts based rules. So that is how you test a rule set. Now, one of the core scenarios of the rules engine applies for customers who are migrating from BizTalk server. The Logic Apps rules engine is an evolution of the BizTalk business rules engine BRE capabilities that were introduced more than 20 years ago. The BRE rules can be used in Logic Apps. As policies no longer exist, you should export each policy individually. For this, you will be using the rules engine deployment wizard available in BizTalk server. So basically what this deployment wizard will do is it will connect to the BRE database and it will recognize the policies or vocabularies that you have available. Then you are going to add an XML location, and then it will be exported and then for further use in Logic Apps. Today we are not supporting DB facts, mainly because what we found out is that what we observe is that some customers, when they conduct their migration to the cloud, they also rethink the approach for storage, right? So that's why this is still an area where we are looking forward to receive some feedback from you all. Now, let's get into creating rules projects in VS Code. So what we've done is we've incorporated a template in VS Code to create logic apps with rules engine projects. This capability leverages the Azure Logic Apps custom code feature that leverages a function. So then what you're going to create is a workspace, and this workspace will include a logic app and a functions project. Once you have defined your rule set, you will upload them into the rules directory under artifacts. For now, you won't see it in the portal, but via Kudu, you will be able to see it. So it's there, so you are not losing anything, right? And then a sample is provided in the project template to begin rules development. One thing to add here is that we are working on an action that is going to be available in the designer during the next few months. For now, we are leveraging this custom code feature, right? In the future, we'll continue using it, but we will have our own action for the rules engine. We are already working on it, so I'm sure that we will be sharing those great things with you very soon. Now let's take a look to a quick demo. This is the link to the rules composer. You can download it and test it. It comes with a sample rule set, so you can see how is it that you can create basic examples with it. So let me show you the show you this as soon as it logs on. Okay, just give it a second. All right. So now we are in my workstation. So let me go to the rules composer, right? So you can download the composer from the location that I just shown you, right? So let me open a rule set, a sample rule set. So with this rule set, in the past with BizTalk server, this rule store pointed to a database, right? So then you connect it to the database and then you extract it from it. As this is a standalone composer, you just create your rule sets using locally, right? And it will save an XML file. So let me show you something. So this sample rule set already has 5 rules, right? All of these rules, they make a reference to a specific facts. For instance, this one is coming, if I go to search fact, it will take me to the schema user.xsd file, right? That is the one that I shown in the previous example. User details and status, called discounts, all of the fields that we have available, right? And then the same here, right? So if I go to search fact, then I can take a look to discount, right? And this is a rule that is pretty much using the XML fact only. Now, if I go to the next one that says rule 10 off, then I will see that I have here a class, right? You see that you have the method get purchase amount. I go to the source fact, and it's going to take me to the definition of this particular method in the class, contest of purchase. If it's greater than 1,000, it's going to update the discount. The next one, rule 65, is interesting because it's similar to the previous ones, but there is a difference that I'm including here an update sentence, which is a control function that will allow the forward chaining inference, right? So this is exactly what I was just mentioning when it promotes a recalculation of the previous rules based on the new information that it has about the facts. Okay, so now the We also have the ability to test the rule set, as I said, right? So to do that, you add an instance here. I'll take this sample user, and for the class, you open a fact creator. You take the class of the fact creator, right? This fact creator is fairly straightforward. So let me open the project in parallel. But basically what you have here is you have that all of the facts have been taken and there's been a condition evaluation for these rules. You see the sample rule set, the test expression was contoso namespace dot contoso purchase get zip code is equals this one. Then what you have on the left operand value is here, what you have on the right is one. Then the same thing, I mean, you're gonna have more information as the rules become more complex, right, or more advanced. So let me open this in parallel. Let me move this a little bit. I'll go back to the composer, right? And something that I wanted to come back to is the creation of vocabularies, right? So we mentioned that vocabularies are helpful to create friendly names, right? So if I take this constant value and I call it top value, constant value, and I set it to 1,000, right? And then I write finish. So then I can take any of these rules, right? And like for instance, I do this reset argument, and then I drag the top value here, right? So then the whole idea is that you will be able to have a tool set with more ability or capabilities to create more friendly rules, right? So then I'm going back to the object, the fact creator class library that we use to generate the facts. So if you wanted to test .NET facts, then you have to create this object. If you see here, there is a contoso purchase constructor here. Well, that is calling that's receiving these two values, right? We're adding this as a reference here, right? This is the object fn name. But what I wanted to, the reason why I wanted to show you this is because I wanted to show you how about the capabilities that advanced capabilities that the composer has for creating more advanced types of rules. So now let me go to Visual Studio Code to show you how to create real quick a rules engine project. What I'm going to do is this may ask me to authenticate. Okay, I'm going to go to create a new Logic App workspace, and I'm going to go to this rules location. So let me go here, select, right, and then ask me for a workspace name, workspace rules. I'm gonna call it, right, and then Logic App with rules engine project. Then function name, function rule, function rule, and then namespace and as rules, and then a stateful workflow, and I'm gonna call it stateful rules or rules stateful. Well, it doesn't really matter, right? So open in current window. What's gonna happen is gonna create the experience. I'm gonna close this one. This is still creating them, right? And then it's going to create all of the objects. So these objects that preloaded were from a previous project. So then as I am working on a preview version, I have to upload this. You won't have to change anything, right? You just have to run it, because by the time this video is being presented, all of the artifacts will have been deployed already. So what I do now is I'm going to go to the terminal, new terminal, to the functions, and then I am going to execute .NET build, and then where is it? What's function rule.cs project? Okay, function rule.cs project. I think that's it. So okay, so I compiled this workspace, right? This function project, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to execute it. But before doing so, I wanted to show you a couple of things. So you have the function, and the function you have a class, right? This is the class that has the data, the fact, the .NET fact embedded. And this is the most important class of your function project. What it does it executes the rules, right? So the rule set. So you have the run rules task that will return this rule execution result object. If you see all of these values here, these values, the rule set name is the rule set that we have here in the rules directory under artifacts. The document type, input XML are values pertaining to the XML fact, and the last two values, purchase amount and zip code, are going to be used with a .NET fact. So then you have the piece of code that basically creates a file store rule explorer to open the rule set, right, and to get the rule set, and then it starts loading all of the facts, and then once it has the facts defined, right, the XML fact and then the .NET fact, it's going to execute it. So it does execute it, it returns the object, and then with the fact changed, right? So then let me do this in parallel. I'm going to deploy it. I'm going to show you how it works in here, right? So let me go to Azure, right? So I'll go to the project here, Logic App. Deploy to Logic App. I'm going to deploy it in my environment. Okay. New, yes, main host demo. Yes, it's gonna deploy it there. While it's deploying, right, I'm gonna show you, so it's doing some work in here, so I'll let it deploy, right? In the interest of time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to run and debug, and I will take the attach to Logic App option, and then I will run it here, right? So when I run it here, so it's gonna start services locally, right? So I'll go to the Logic App project, and in the Logic App project, I have here the workflow. It's called stateful rules, I think, yeah. Here, stateful rules, and then I'm gonna run overview, and I'm going to run also open designer, so then we can see what the experience created. So you have the trigger here, the HTTP request is received, then you have the call to rule. So then you see that you have the function rule that I just shown you with the execution of the rules, right? You have the rule set name, you can have multiple rule sets, so you take one. You have the document type, in this case is the document type used for the XML fact schema user, and then the payload, right? So you see that this payload has a 70 here, the age is 70, and it has a zip code of 53, right? False and 0. So then when I run this, if I go here to overview and I run the trigger here, right? You will see that after being executed, I go here to the details of the execution, and then you will see that this value of 70, right, had an impact on the status, the gold status of this user, along with the discount that we'll receive, right? You see that this is false and 0. So now we take a look to the output. It's now the gold category has changed to true and the discount to 15, right? So now something interesting to mention is that in the particular case of the rules, so let me open this Logic App where it got deployed. I'm gonna go to the workflow that it created. The name was rule something, stateful rules, yes. So then I have these objects, I have this workflow in the designer. I have the trigger, I have the call rules, right? You can easily just delete this trigger and then add another trigger just when a blob is added or updated, and then let's say this is a no location files, and then blob read blob content. Yes, it's read blob content, that is correct. So then I use this one, and then in container name I will use here the container name, container info name, and the blob name, it will be the blob name, right? And then instead of having this this value here, right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the blob content, right? So then I save it. What's gonna happen is, so let me show you this real quick. Let me open this here. Connected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this blob storage with a file, that the XML file, right? And I'm going to pass it to the rules. So let me see those files. I'll delete this one. Okay, I'll upload a new one. Upload. And I think this is the one. I think, yeah. So then once it's uploaded, I'll take a look to the overview here to see if it was the right file. Hopefully it ran okay, right? Is it the time? Yeah, it's the time. So then I take a look to what happened, and it took the blob, it read the content, and it sent it as a parameter, and then it got the same result. Of course, with the only thing different that we did here is just we got the XML file, right? But the point that I was trying to make is that in this particular case, you can customize your rules engine the way how you do it with Logic Apps all the time, right? So with this in mind, we are working on a number of features for the rules engine that we will be making available over the next during the next semester, right? So stay tuned to what we are going to be showing you about the rules engine, because it's fairly exciting. So I just wanted to leave you with a few key takeaways. You can build richer workloads with Azure Logic Apps now that we have the rules engine. So you are extending the portfolio of possible mission critical solutions that you can build. You can use your BizTalk BRE implementations with Azure Logic Apps. If you're a BizTalk BRE customer, you can provide external governance across bounded contexts and microservices and business domains, because that is the idea, right? The idea is for you to have a point where you can, with low code, coordinate activities across microservices. You can upload business rules without disrupting your applications. Essentially, remember that you can upload a file, a rule set, right? And as you push a new version of the rule set, so then what's going to happen is it's going to be gracefully taking the rules execution to the new rules that you have uploaded. And you can manage complex deterministic scenarios with the RETE engine, which is the core engine that we used for building this core feature. With that, I'm going to leave you. I invite you to use the feature. You can follow me in X at hcampusu. You can email me, or you can follow me on LinkedIn, or you can follow me in this channel. Thank you for your time, and have a great rest of the day.